Okay, so everything is dry. She's been drying for a couple hours now, but there's no more wet globs or clumps on her. The ink is dry, her face is dry. Everything is dry for the next step. It's really important. So what we're going to be doing is a glaze. We're going to be covering her with a different color that is transparent. So in the supplies I mentioned that often I use the golden brand here for this, but you could still use Liquitex or a different brand. But the colors that work well for this, or that I like to use, would be magenta. And if you're using a thicker bodied one, you're going to need to water it down so that it's very thin. You can also use phthalo blue. Quinacridone nickel azo gold is also really nice to use. And today I'm probably going to do a mix between the nickel azo gold and the fluorescent pink, just to experiment. Ooh. Wouldn't be a day if I didn't make a mess. And you might want to have a rag. If I can get the paint to come out of here. Whoops, that's a lot more than I needed. Oh well. You might want to have a rag handy in case some of it gets too thick. We can rub it off. We want to still be able to see what's behind it, but we want to have it tinted. We're going to be covering it. We're pushing our Muse back a little bit to call her forward. Got some clean water handy, and I've got a large brush and a semi-large square brush. I think I'm going to start with the great big one. And I'm adding water to the colors here. You can also use your spray bottle for this, as well as we want our canvas to be fairly wet. Now this step can be a little scary because we're taking her back into the shadows. All right. And see what happens now if I mix it with a little bit of the nickel azo gold. When I'm on her face, I'm going to go in the direction of the cheeks again. I'm going to go right over and do my edges now too. And not only on one level does this action help with signifying, pushing, the shadows around our Muse and the layers of our story and bringing her deeper and diving. But aesthetically, it helps to bring all the pieces we've done so far together, put them on an even playing field. And then we get to bring them back out again, make them shine and sparkle. When you're doing a glaze, you could use any color that doesn't have white in it, because as soon as you have a color that has a bit of white in it, like some pinks and some blues, if they're not pure, they have a bit of white, and then that will cover everything in behind, so then you lose the detail that you made. So if you're choosing a different color than me, you might want to check to make sure that it's transparent on a spare sheet. Might even add some magenta, just because I'm finding the pink isn't standing out as much as I'd like. So same thing, I'm putting out the paint and then I'm going to water it down. So far I haven't kneaded my rag, and my canvas is still pretty wet. I'm making this very thin, and let's see what happens. And in some spots I'm letting the gold shine through a bit more. And other spots, the pink or the magenta. Keep my water bottle handy. And I'm just going to do a little test here to see how we're doing. I think I'm going to want her to keep a bit of that. This is a dry brush, a smaller one. This is taking a little bit off, but just around the face here. Checking in, I thought it said it wasn't recording. And I'm just gonna pat around a little bit here, especially around the fox. It's getting lost a little bit. Sometimes, if it's dry enough and you put a little spatter of your squirt bottle there, you can get a neat little pattern. But mine wasn't quite dry enough to do it. Let's try up here. No, not quite. All right. So I'm not taking very much off, just a tad. And I haven't come into the face yet. Let's see. just lightly, lightly, in a circular motion, taking a little bit off. And that takes us to the end of part 2. So we've given her a form, given her some weight, we've brought her forward. She may have changed a bit from your first drawing. We've added some symbols, we've added some pattern, and she's starting to have a bit of meaning. Her story is coming together. So over the next couple weeks, I'd like you to journal about what messages she has for you. Right now, when I come down and I see her from afar, she startles me a bit. She's very much gazing at me, and I find her very abrupt right now. And because her eyes are still so dark here, she's a bit in the shadow. She's a little bit scary. And I think that for me, I'm going to be writing about why that's important. Why does the Muse need to be scary sometimes? She's somebody who lives on the edge. She's always moving forward, looking for new adventures and pushing herself forward. So I think that she needs that fear sometimes to push us forward and get us into those things. So I'm going to be thinking about that on mine. What is your Muse saying to you? So spend some time with her, and until next time, be inspired.